So I'm curious, like within the B2B marketing community of like SaaS companies, tech companies, how aware are they generally of how important referrals can be?
B2B tech marketers generally understand the power of referrals. I mean, take a look at one key source that they're constantly looking for. Can I have a testimonial? And it's tough to get a testimonial. They know the power of a testimonial.
Welcome to the Digital Accomplice Podcast. Today we're joined by Andrew Brown, who is most notably to me, not a marketer, but a referral expert. So
Can I hold this up, Dean? Can I hold
yeah,
this up?
there you go. So
I'm holding it up.
he writes books.
I write book.
There's one of them. So,
Yes.
Andrew, how do you introduce yourself these days?
These days, I introduce myself as a passionate business support developer. I know that's kind of awkward,
Yeah.
but what I mean by that is finding the right gap where people are looking to build business and helping to fill that. And I know we're going to be talking about content, but in my world, in the helping business development folks or salespeople looking to sell big ticket offerings, content's a piece, but it's not where the focus is. Certainly not for me. And we can get into that.
Yeah, so that's why I thought it'd be so great to talk to you, is because I've so focused on content marketing as someone who makes video for a living. I believe in the power of video and content in general and leading people down the funnel. But you really blew my mind where you were just sort of like, I'm not into that. Tell me about why referrals are so important and why are you on that side of the fence?
Okay, so I'll take a moment and speak about the value of referrals. And again, please realize that it's through the lens of someone who wants to help organizations that sell big ticket products and services. So through that lens, referrals are the closest thing to a silver bullet. Right? 69% of companies find that deals move through a sales funnel faster when they leverage referral sources. So velocity. 59, almost 60% of customers coming via a referral source have a measurably higher lifetime value than customers that originate without a referral. So that's value. Over 70% of leads coming via a referral source are more likely to close deals than leads coming without a referral. So this is third-party research, and it's been validated and studied long before I started delving into referrals and referral programs. So the value is there. And that's why my emphasis is on figuring out how do you really harness referral sources in a way that's effective and that is respectful.
Yeah, so let's get into that. But first, one more clarifying question.
Yeah.
When you say big ticket items,
Yeah.
give us a sense of what that means. Are we talking B2B SaaS companies? Are we talking about large enterprise things? Or does this methodology also apply to someone like me who's selling video production packages, not in the $100 range, but not in the $100,000 range either? Typically
So
50, 30, 20, 10, or even a little less in some cases.
fair enough. And thanks for asking. Yes. I mean, my book is intended for people that have big ticket offerings, defined as an average receipt or an engagement being in excess of $50,000. But I've spoken to a lot of folks directly who have said, I'm using your methodology, Andrew, and my average receipt is more like $15,000. And because part of it is really around trust and risk and recognizing that referral sources play a larger role in the sales process when there is that fear, the fear of I'm going to be signing on the bottom line. So referrals diminish, deflate, pull out a lot of that perceived risk. And of course, when something's expensive, expensive is relative, right? If I buy a $20,000 turntable, yes, there's a high risk for me because my wife will kill me. So I have to be concerned about that risk. But for some people, $20,000 on a turntable is nothing. So it is the perceived risk by the buyer.
Right. Okay, so we're sold now on the power of referrals. So
Yay!
let's talk about when and how and why do referrals actually happen in B2B?
Okay, so it's really important to dispel rather some common myths to answer that question. And I'm going to focus on three things. Again, it's really focused on B2B big ticket offerings, but it extends beyond that. So, first myth about B2B referrals: who refers business? And the myth is that it's your current customers. The reality is that professional colleagues, former clients, former employees, suppliers, prospective clients, often more frequently than existing customers, refer business. And that's a mind blowing game changer for a lot of people who are putting into place referral programs, because they start at their current customer base. And there are two reasons why. One I call the babysitter effect. And anyone who's had a babysitter
Hmm.
who's really good is not that anxious about sharing that news to people within their network that they've got a great babysitter. And when it translates to the business world, companies don't want your attention, if you're awesome, to go to someone else. The other reason is that customers know your warts, right? If they've been working with you, they may love you, but they know your warts, the good and the bad of you. So that can diminish some of their confidence or belief that if they refer someone to you, that they're going to be treated exceptionally well. So that's the who. The myth is that it's your current customers. The reality is that it's professional colleagues, former clients, those people. So that's the first myth. When? When do people refer? The myth is, people will refer us when they know our product and service. But the reality is that they only will refer when they're confident that there is a good fit for both the organization and and that means product and culture. So it's got to be a good fit between you, if you're selling the service, and the buyer. Has to be. Third, why? This is the big question, right? The myth is it's all about money. Why would anybody refer you if they're not going to get a taste, something on the edge, some sort of spliff, some sort of compensation monetary? Well, the reality is that there are a cluster of motivations when it comes to referring. It's not all about money. There are a number of reasons why people might refer and might not refer, and that's something else you have to address. And motivations also evolve over time. So if you're expecting a referral source who holds a particular role in an organization to always refer you, that's probably a little out of step with reality, because if they move within the organization, if they develop as a professional, if they switch or organizations, their motivations, their reason for referring is going to shift over time. So the to answer the question, how, when, and why do referrals happen? It's recognizing that it's not about the money, that it's not going to be about your current customers, and it's not just when people know about your products.
Interesting. So if that's the when they do happen, when do referrals not happen? And you've kind of touched on that a little bit, but I
Yeah,
think there's more to this.
I would say that you take those three myths combined. Like, if referrals are not going to happen in B2B when any of those myths are in play. That is, you're building a program uh, and making those assumptions. And when you couple that with what I occasionally call the Colombo criteria, I'm going to be dating myself, but in the 70s and 80s, there was that's 1970s, not 1870s, just 1970s. There was a television sleuth, Colombo, who was really irritating, but he solved his cases by understanding what is very common to almost every cop show and mystery. There's got to be motive, means, and opportunity for a referral source. Uh, the way that I phrase it in this wonderful book, Get Referred, is I talk about referral math. So people have to have these three components. They have to have skills to refer, plus willingness to refer, plus opportunity to refer. If they're missing any one of those pieces of the equation, I'm afraid they're not going to bring you business that you want. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I could be in love with your organization. I could love your products, but if I'm in the basement and I'm not connected to anyone, how's that helping you? How am I going to refer people to you? Right? So a referral program needs to be built on some harsh realities. And sometimes that harsh reality is we really don't know that much about our referral sources or potential referral sources. Now, if we want to swing that back to content, you can use content to help referral sources tell your story. That's very common, right? But I would argue that you could use content in terms of surveying and listening in order to get a good understanding of who your referral sources are and who they could be.
Right. So then, why specifically for these big ticket items are referral sources such the strongest tool for this for getting business?
Well, they're the strongest tool because of trust. And I know that sounds glib, but we know that companies even within company rely on trust. You expect people to perform or to behave a particular way, and then you go, okay, Andrew's performed that way, so I can trust him to go do that. I don't have to keep an eye on him. I don't have to micromanage him. Well, when it comes to referring business as well, the right referral sources actually have two types of trust. Right? The right referral source trusts you, your product, and your offering. That's key. Otherwise, why would they put their reputation online? But they also have the trust of those organizations that are important to you. Trust in you means that those referral sources are willing to, again, place their reputation on the line by endorsing you, supporting you publicly or one-on-one. And that being trusted by the organization that matters to you means that right referral source's endorsement carries more weight than you can, at least for now. I mean, if we've learned anything about social media, it's about social proof.
Mm-hmm.
And to prove the point about referrals, just consider 84% of B2B decision makers start their buying process with a trusted referral source.
Wow.
How can we ignore? How can we neglect? How can we possibly put into place any kind of considered and cohesive and coordinated and aligned sales program if we don't deal with that reality?
Well, that's a great point because buying process for B2B is notoriously long, getting longer in these current market conditions with all the choices out there in the Martech stack. It's like, how would referrals then aid the sales organization in their selling process?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Martech stack because what was it in 2007, 2006 when I started doing, and I was a content guy. For years, I was working in marketing. I was doing product marketing. I was content. I was developing content strategies. And we had about 150 Martech uh, options, about 150. There are 14,000 now. So trying to grapple with and grasp and coordinate and understand the nuances and how these work together individually, they're like prescription drugs, right? You have to mix and match carefully because otherwise you're going to blow up your programs. And blow up could be just not meet targets, right?
Right.
So I'm sorry. You know what? I think I lost the thread of the
Well, what,
conversation.
what we're
Go
what we're
ahead.
looking for is
Yeah.
like these referrals don't happen in a vacuum, right? The referrals
No.
are part of the sales process. They don't just get referred and go click buy and then they're done, right? There's got to be your sales organization has to somehow account for these referrals and bring them into the system of the funnel and the sales process, right?
That's it. What I found, and I'm going to plug myself. Actually, why don't you plug my book for me? That way, I don't sound
Well,
self-serving.
yeah, okay. Andrew wrote this book, Get Referred, so you should go buy it,
Thank you.
or borrow it, or read it, or I bet there's a YouTube video out there, but definitely buy it.
Sir, if any of your listeners and watchers are interested, uh, how you know. I want to extend a special offer. That is, send an email to me at andrewb@getreferred.biz, and I'll extend a special offer. I'll make 10 books available and I'll ship them out to your folks. Okay, so
Very
I'm
generous. Thank
happy
you.
to do that. No worries.
Yeah.
So what I found, and this is let's say again, I used to have hair. I used to
Me
have
too.
hair, and I exchanged this hair for wisdom.
Yeah, that's
And
how
I
it goes.
used to, and I used to really work hard at helping organizations integrate referral programs with existing sales programs. However, I found that they work best when they act as complements. I
Mm.
mean, a sales program, it's not unusual to have a value added reseller program, right? And that usually works with different folks, different measures of success. Now, value added reseller programs are fraught, and having managed a whole host of them, they're fraught with problems, particularly around reputation. But, and one might say that they're a flavor of referral programs, or that referral programs are a flavor of value added resale. It doesn't matter. It is using a channel, it is using a third party to tell your story. So, really, in order for an organization to uh, accept referrals, that is, bring them in, onboard them, maintain them, nurture them, essentially create a funnel for referral sources, there has to be a discipline. The organization has to say, you know what, there's a business case for referral programs. We're going to give someone responsibility, someone you've got to have accountability. And we've got to have alignment. Doesn't mean duplication, doesn't mean salespeople do the work, but there has to be alignment. Left hand, right hand, how you doing? You know what each other's doing. So those three components are key to having an organization embrace referral programs. Now, in Get Referred, not only do I get through that, man, I enjoy doing that. Not only do I do that, but I also let the reader take themselves on their own path. That no one's going to read a book cover to cover. I don't expect you would. I don't expect your readers to. Your listeners to rather. But you can adopt a program as a pilot project by virtue of reading certain sections in this book. If you don't want to integrate it, if you don't want to hardwire it into your organization because there's too much resistance, because it's too big, because there are too many things going on, I get it. That happens. But that doesn't really, it shouldn't give you a get out of jail free card for saying, it's too tough. I know it's really going to work, but it's just going to be too tough. Now you have a path where you can actually do a pilot project by, I think it's reading sections 2, 3, and 4 in the book instead of 2, 3, and 5.
Right.
So there you have it.
So there is a system to all this, and
Yes.
so I'd like to hear, like, if I'm ready to, I want to do this. What do I do? But if I don't have the book today, what do I do today?
Well, you get the book, my friend. That's what you do. Uh, there is in pulling together and developing a managed referral program, and I call it distinctly a managed referral program, and because we know that if you don't manage something, if you don't monitor it, it's not going to get done. It's not going to get done properly. It's not going to get allocation. So the developing a managed referral program, again, keeping our eye on the ball of why are we doing that, is to really harness the unique power of referral sources to bring you desired sales. I'd say that there are 7 phases we've developed a 7-phase cycle. And the first one, I know this sounds silly, but it's select initial goals. And that's for each referral source and the referral manager. That is the person who's going to have accountability. And it's not just we want to increase revenues. No, we want to put some thought into that. What is it, a particular product? Is it a particular product in a specific region, a certain price point? Let's be very precise, because otherwise you set up a program for failure. So select initial goals. Get referral ready. Now this is tough. Every organization assumes that they have this awesome reputation. Well, you're asking referral sources to put their own reputation on the line. So you better have a good proof point that your product, your organization has a good reputation in the audiences, or with the audiences that you're asking your referral sources to connect with. Otherwise, it's irresponsible. So there are a number of things when it comes to getting referral ready, but the key one is having a series of quantitative proof points around your reputation. And I can come back for a moment about NPS if you'd like. Making sure you've got capacity to take in the work and have a great onboarding process for the people that are coming through or being referred to you. So that's a second. So select initial goals, get referral ready. Third is evaluate potential referral sources. Just was speaking to a client who said, I really want to systematically harness my referral sources. But you know what? I don't think we have any referral sources. Well, that's not an unusual thing to hear, because most organizations, if you ask them how much money, how much of your revenue came through referrals, they'll go, oh, I don't know, because they don't track that source, which is a pity. So evaluating potential referral sources is a key step, where you're going through and you're taking a look at previous patterns of behavior, and you're sitting down and you're saying, okay, let's say Andrew, does he have the skills, the willingness, and the opportunities to refer? And actually probing, sitting down, interviewing, probing him, asking some questions around his habitual referral behavior, and see if it applies. Not everyone you like or that's in your network is going to be a great referral source, and it's your responsibility to really hone those. And you don't need a lot. That's the wonderful thing about referral programs. It's not something that you feel like you have to scale to tens of dozens or hundreds or thousands in order to make an impact. You can have half a dozen. One of my clients had a referral program focused on 3 referral sources. That's it. And in the span of 18 months, reduced their average sales cycle from 18 months down to 6 months. Increased their, got net new revenues of over $500,000. And that was just from 3 referral sources. Yeah. So evaluate referral sources is third. I'm going on, forgive me. Arm referral sources. Arming referral sources is probably that point that people are most familiar with. Hey, Andrew, here's my great product. Here's why it's awesome. Here are the competitors. Here are the brochures. That's not to say that that's not important to be able to craft a story and tell them, but that is the most commonly pulled trigger when it comes to referral sources, right? I've got a buddy who will refer me. Let me tell him why I'm great. Give him a brochure. Let him out at the universe. That's not going to happen. It's a part of the stage, and you've got to understand if your referral source can tell a story, and they're great publicly speaking. That's awesome. But maybe they're not. Maybe you have to do the next phase, which is activate the referral sources. So when you've identified the gaps in skills, willingness, and opportunity, and again, someone might have 1, someone might have 2 of those, some might have none, but they've got a great reputation, and you see a long-term relationship. So you know that you want to have this person be amazing as a referral source. You fill these gaps for each individual. And again, that's why you don't aim for tens of hundreds or thousands. You're aiming for a handful of really effective people. So that's the secret sauce, if you will, where you are activating your referral sources. And I spend a fair amount of time in Get Referred to speak about that because it's very much behavioral based. And there's certain principles you should apply when activating your referral sources. For an example, just one, integrity. Right? You want to demonstrate to them that you don't want them just to sell your stuff, say anything they possibly can. You want to demonstrate to them that you value integrity and you expect integrity out of them. So activate referral sources. That's the fifth. Sixth, any project, measure results. And you're measuring results of the referral sources and your referral managers and their behavior. 7, hone the program. So you have regular and ad hoc check-ins. And again, one of the things about the book is it tells you precisely what you should be measuring and what kinds of meetings you should be having to follow up so that you can actually learn, so that when it comes back to the next phase or back to the beginning where it's select initial goals, you're far more informed. Right? I might have had unrealistic expectations, or perhaps, you know what, we could have expanded and had greater goals. So that's 7 phases of developing a referral program. Was that too wordy, or
No,
does
this
that
is
make
all
sense?
great stuff. Like, don't think that they don't need to buy the book, you guys. You still need to buy the book, but like that's the stuff right there. So what I didn't hear in there, and I think I heard
Hmm.
earlier, you've thrown a lot at us, but what I thought I heard earlier is that incentivizing your potential referral sources is
Hmm.
not part of the plan. You're not giving them bottles of wine or gift cards or anything like that.
I think it's fair to say that a lot of referral sources, and it's again, every organization is different, and every referral source is different. That's the beauty as well as the complexity of coming up with a well-managed referral program. You have to understand what that motivation is, what compels them. One of my clients had a referral source that had recently retired, had time on their hands, and so his motivation was feeling part of something bigger again. And what was his motive? So, how did they reward that? They invited him to company meetings. If they had offered him money, he would have been insulted. So, it really is understanding the motivations. And again, in the book, I provide, there are about 16 core reasons, if you will, or motivations why people do things. There's subtleties, nuances. I draw on some psychology and social psychology to make sure that it's well grounded. So, and the other thing to keep in mind is that when you're pulling together a referral program, there are motivations to bring people into a program and motivations to keep them in a program. So just like when you're selling,
Yeah.
right? There are attributes like, wow, the opportunity is amazing. Wow, look what I'll be able to do with this product or service. That gets them in. And then once they're there, the customer service being recognized and having it responsive and being listened to and acknowledged, and their input having a role in shaping the next iteration. That's what keeps people as customers. So the same thing when it comes to a referral program. Who knows? It's possible. I have not yet seen this in a referral program where someone comes in for a motivation that's not money, and then it turns out to be money. That's really rare. But it's fair to say, one, that there's a cluster of motivations. It's never one thing. It's never one thing that gets people to want to refer you. And that's, again, one of those myths. I don't know if I covered that. Yes, the single motivation of money is one that people believe, but the other key thing to remember is never just one thing. And it also, that motivation evolves over time. So you've got to keep track of that. Just like one of our clients said to me, Andrew, it's like you're taking an account management approach, but you're just switching the lens from an account to referral sources. And I said, John, that's exactly what it is. The attention, the understanding, the appreciation, the listening that you would as if you were account manager, you just choose to focus on referrals. They're not handed to you like an account, or they don't come into your organization like an account, but they require that same sort of level of commitment and understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like within the B2B marketing community of like SaaS companies, tech companies, how aware are they generally of how important referrals can be, how critical they can be? Like it sounds like it's the ultimate shortcut. And I just don't have a sense of how much people really get this as a percentage of overall B2B tech marketers.
Fair question. So B2B tech marketers generally understand the power of referrals. I mean, take a look at one key source that they're constantly looking for. Can I have a testimonial? And it's tough to get a testimonial. They know the power of a testimonial. Now, testimonials are passive, and they can be a beast, right? To get someone to actually give you a testimonial, but they're gold, but they are passive. Um, in that same arena, in proposals, right? When someone acts as a reference for you, you go, oh, that's amazing. The challenge is that often those referral sources who are being used in proposals get fatigued. They're called in for every single proposal, and they're not up to date. And no one is actually bringing them up to speed on the latest products, the latest services, changes in the organization, or looking for other ways as to why they're referring. Also to your question, when it comes to that audience, B2B, SaaS, and other large big ticket offerings use value-added resellers. Again, a spin on referrals. The things with value-added resellers is that the end buyer, knows that the reseller is largely bringing them the offering because they're getting compensated most by that service or that product. Well, customers aren't stupid. They're going to go, wait, you recommended product A to me because you're getting paid more. Why should I trust you? Not only that, but once you set up a value-added reselling program, so you give the resellers a compensation, a commission. Well, your competitors are going to up you, and then you're going to have to up them, and they up you, and it is a never-ending escalation. So once you start setting up a value-added reseller program, every year the budget increases. And if you watch the trends in reseller programs, usually it's a spike at the beginning when it gets off the ground, and then it plummets. And then if there are specials around Christmas or New Year's or Valentine's Day, there's a spike, but it tails and tails and tails off.
Right.
So, and that's largely because we assume that people are only motivated by one thing, money, and that's not it.
Right. Well, this has been an amazing and eye-opening conversation. I'm just wondering, like, for the audience, if after they buy the book, what do you think would be like a good other place to think about starting, learning more? Should they reach out to you, or go to your website, or do you have other actions that they might take to learn more?
I think that people should read a section of the book. It's split in, I mean, every section of the book has learning objectives, key takeaways at the beginning. So if you don't even want to read the chapter, you can just read the beginning. And at the end of the chapter, there's summaries and key action steps. So it's really practical. I'd say read a couple sections of the book, have a discussion in your organization, see if there's appetite. I would focus more on the value rather than on the process, because all content people know this, right? If you get people excited about the promise, about the potential, then the process becomes secondary. And I'm happy to chat with any of your subscribers, your listeners. As you can tell, I'm pretty easy going. I believe that giving away knowledge is a good thing. This is 30 years of experience in 300 pages, and it's tools and it's frameworks and it's surveys, All of it's free. I want people to try it out for themselves. And if they're having problems, drop me a line, throw me a question. I'm more than happy. I'm thrilled when I hear that people want to manage referral programs systematically, properly, because it's such a time saver for everyone involved. And I hate to see resource, and time is precious. We all have only a limited amount of time to have an impact with our families, with our friends, with our organizations in the community. Let's use that time wisely. And that's why I'm thrilled to help people get this up and running.
That's very generous, Andrew. And thank you for sharing your wisdom today. That's all for today, folks. That's a wrap. And I guess we'll see you down the road there somewhere, Andrew. Thank you.
Thank you. Be well.